Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Let's Talk About Life with me, Kedra, aka your favorite journalist. My notes from the week, we have such a heavy docket. The Mendez brothers, if y'all have been watching that on Netflix, we're going to get into a little bit of the Real Housewives of Potomac tea. You know, that just premiered. We're going to talk about Marcellus Williams. I'm sure you heard that name a lot. He's the man that was just recently executed in Missouri. We just have so much there. We're going to talk about our girl Beyoncé and how, you know, she was snubbed because of racism. We're going to get all up into it. Mendez brothers. So, I don't know if y'all are paying attention, but Mendez brothers, I'm sure you've seen it on Netflix. It's one of the top shows right now. It's like one of the most viewed and most streamed. It's about two brothers. It's a true crime story about two brothers who killed their parents and all of the tumultuousness of the family and why they did it. And they ended up both getting life sentences in jail in Los Angeles. So the show itself is directed by Ryan Murphy. I am a big Ryan Murphy fan, y'all. Y'all know Ryan Murphy, director, writer. He's done things like American Horror Story. He did Dahmer. He did Glee. He did The Watcher on Netflix. Really good movie if you haven't seen it. Ryan Murphy is my guy. I like him because I feel like, I'm pretty sure he's a gay man, and he just does a good job at telling, one, queer stories, and two, like, I just feel like everything that he produces and directs and writes is just so aesthetically pleasing. Like, the costumes are always on point. The hair and makeup is always on point. Like, in the way that he tells stories, it's just so brilliantly done. So he did this story, the Mendez brothers, and there's a lot of controversy behind how he directed it, how he decided to write this, because they're saying, and basically in the series, and I watched the first, I gave it 3 episodes. The only reason I didn't finish it, I also didn't finish Dahmer, only because it's just so wicked and just so evil and dark. I can't watch things like that because I have to go to bed, and I can't watch all that. Like, I can't do all that and then go to bed. Like, it's just too much for me. So, yeah, I gave it 3 episodes, and even though I was like, bravo for what he did, baby, I just turned that off because I don't need to see those images in my mind as I'm trying to go to sleep throughout my day. Like, I just don't need that because I have nightmares sometimes. So I just don't need that in my psyche and my vibration, but I can appreciate good art when I see it. But anyways, yeah. So in the story, essentially, the brothers, we know, their parents. I'm using that language because I'm putting this on TikTok, and I don't know what they allow on YouTube. So I'll put a little subtitle. But yes, they did their parents, essentially. And they were saying they did that because their father specifically assaulted them with SA them when they were younger. And basically the attack on them was a reaction from all the physical abuse they had suffered from their father. So allegedly because they were being SA'd, this is common for people who have been abused in that way to abuse others. So there were rumors that the brothers were kind of lovers a little bit. Lovers is dragging it, but had a inappropriate relationship between brothers. And there were spots where it was shown throughout the series, at least through the first 3 episodes, they heavily would insinuate it. I didn't watch the rest, so I don't know if they get deeper into it, but it was heavily insinuated in the first 3 episodes. And the brothers are furious about this because they're saying that it never happened. But cousins of the brothers said that it did happen. When this whole case first happened, there was a reporter back when this happened in the early 90s. And he said that he's the one that kind of started this rumor because he allegedly heard it from some family members that the boys were involved with each other. And the boys vehemently said this was not true. It never happened. So they actually call it a blatant lie. So on September 19th, the day of the show's premiere, Eric Mendez shared a statement through Twitter through his wife's account and accused Murphy of bad intent, slammed the show as a step backward in accurately portraying male sexual abuse, and said it included vile and appalling character portrayals of him and his brother. Murphy said he found Eric Mendez's commentary interesting because he knows that he hasn't watched the show because obviously he's in prison. They don't have Netflix in there. So I know he's like, I know you haven't seen it. And then he said he stands by the show. It's called Monsters, portrayed by the story, later slamming the Mendez brothers for claiming lies after lies without specific criticism, and then labeled the show the best thing that ever happened to the Mendez brothers in 30 years. Now, Murphy, that wasn't nice. Like, it's not for you to say what is the best thing and what's not best thing. What I will say is that this series is getting their case re-examined. So I think that's what Murphy was alluding to, because before this show, I hadn't even heard about this story. Obviously, it was a big deal at the time. It was obviously national news at the time. But, there's so much going on all the time. So 30 years later, we're just now learning about it. So he is right to say that, if I wouldn't have brought this to life, your case wouldn't have been re-examined. Kim Kardashian wrote a statement, wrote a letter, and said that she thinks the boys should be released, that they were obviously victims of abuse, and that, their case should be re-examined and they should be released. So in that case, Murphy is right. But at the same time, this is their story. So they have a right to feel how they want to feel about the betrayal. And that's just what it is, in the same way that Murphy has a right to describe the acts however he sees fit and take creative liberties. Is it right or wrong? We're not debating that tonight. I'm just telling y'all what happened. Y'all decide for yourself and leave it in the comments, and then we'll talk about it. But yeah, so after that, Robert Rand, an expert on the case, he actually told the Hollywood Reporter that he doesn't think the pair were ever lovers. It said any inappropriate contact between the two might have wasn't a real relationship, but a response to trauma. So that actually makes sense. But when it comes to the actual case, the Los Angeles District Attorney George Gasson has said that his office will review the case of Lyle and Eric Menendez. So that's good. Jose and Kitty Menendez were shot 6 to 10 times. And I feel like being shot that many times is definitely indicative of something passionate, because in the movie, they had these big, crazy rifles. So I don't know. I think that's what they probably used in real life. But being shot 6 to 10 times, it doesn't take that many times to murder someone. So that in itself kind of stems to the emotion that was behind it. If they say that they were abused, I definitely believe them. I always lean toward believing like the victims. So yeah, brothers said that they were out, and I'm getting all this from Forbes, by the way. The brothers actually said when the crime happened, they didn't do it, and they were out at the time. And the only reason that the police found out about it was because the youngest brother, Eric, told his psychologist. His psychologist told his mistress, stick with me, I know it's a lot, told his mistress and the mistress went to the police and said what the brothers had did. And that's how they were arrested. Before that, they had denied it. Once they finally were found out, they claimed they shot them out of fear of their lives after a lifetime of sexual abuse at the hands of their father. They said their mother, who they accused of being an alcoholic and a drug addict, enabled their father's behavior and was also physically abusive. They were 18 and 21 at the time, and they were sentenced to 2 counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to murder, sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, and are still in prison right now. And Kim K is advocating for them. A few years ago, Kim made it clear that she wants to become a lawyer, and ever since then, she's been like kind of a voice in criminal justice reform, which I personally think is the best way for Kim Kardashian to use her voice if she's going to do anything. I think this is what she should be doing. And I always applaud her for that. I feel a way about the way that Kim and her family have used Black people as a stepping stone. Like, they've stolen so many ideas and just content of Black people, and it's just been so many scandals and dramas throughout the year. How they did Jordan Woods, how they all just use Black men to have families. Like, it's just a lot with them. So I think this is the best way that Kim can actually use her platform to actually speak on issues and subjects that matter. So she actually went on and wrote a letter saying, "We are all products of our experiences." Fact. That's true. I agree with her. They shape who we are. and who we are and who we will be. Psychologically, time changes us, and I doubt anyone would claim to be the same person they were when they were 18, she wrote. So she's not saying that they didn't do it, but what she is saying is y'all should let them out because they were a product of the abuse. Their reaction was a product of the abuse, and they obviously are not who they were when they were 18 and 21 years old. Guards have spoke up for them and have been like, yeah, I would totally live next door to them. They've been, I guess they got degrees while they were in school, or got GEDs and like got college degrees, elevated degrees, and that they're really like pillars and strong in the jail community, in the prison community rather. It's just so interesting because once you've been institutionalized for so long, and that's why recidivism rates are so high, the likelihood of you going back to prison after you've been in prison, I think it's really hard to, kind of assimilate to normal society after that. But I don't know what to think of this case. I definitely think that they were abused. Cousins co-signed and said that they were abused by their father. And not only did the father abuse their the boys, they abused their cousins as well. So, but there's no physical evidence or nothing documented about the abuse. The abuse was actually told to a cousin before the murders even took place. So, yeah, there's that. But at least this case is being reopened in the event that there's ever been a case that you've really been passionate about, that you really want to be reopened, that you want to bring some attention to. I think that social media, I mean, we can't all do Netflix movies, obviously, or Netflix series. I mean, we can all do that, but before you get there, talking about it, I think on social media is something that really helps get cases reopened and re-examined. We've seen that happen so many times, and especially having a big celebrity behind you. So if I were you, if there was cases you really care about that you want to re-examine, child, send Kim Kardashian some letters. Just start sending them every week about the case, and maybe she'll care and pick it up. I'm just saying, stranger things in life have happened, so you might as well give it a try. Marcellus Williams, she didn't talk about the Marcellus Williams case, and people didn't love that. They were like, okay, girl, you're talking about the Mendez brothers, but you weren't talking about the Marcellus Williams case. And Marcellus Williams is, unfortunately, he was a 55-year-old man who was convicted in 98 of killing a woman, Leisha Gale, who was stabbed during the burglary of her suburban St. Louis home. But people are saying that he's innocent. Innocence Project picked up his case. And essentially, when this case allegedly happened, the state destroyed or corrupted evidence. They're saying that they picked up like murder weapons and things like that without wearing actual gloves, and that they could not conclusively prove his innocence. DNA and other forensic crime scene evidence does not match him. So they're like, all right, if you guys messed up during the investigation and you didn't find any of his DNA on anything, it wasn't a match, then let this man go. They were trying to stop his execution, but unfortunately that's not what happened. He was eventually executed a couple of weeks ago. So he actually narrowly escaped execution before, in August of 2017, before his scheduled death. The then governor, a Republican, granted a stay after reviewing DNA evidence that found no trace of Williams on the knife used to kill Gale. He also appointed a panel of retired judges to examine the case, but that panel never reached any conclusion. So they were saying, basically the family is like, I don't think that he did this. I think you guys have the wrong person, and we don't want him to be executed. If anything, just commute his sentence to life without parole. The family defines closure as Marcellus being allowed to live, the petition states. And even that is not necessarily saying that they don't believe that he did it. I guess maybe at this point they just forgive him, and they're saying just give him life, but he was unfortunately executed. Prosecutors at Williams' original trial said he broke into the woman's home on August 11, 98, heard water running. I guess she was in the shower, and he found a large butcher knife, and that he allegedly stabbed her 43 times. Now, again, similar to the Mendez case, 43 times is insane. That's literally given like crime of passion, right? A random person, like, we think this happens a lot because we see it in movies, TV, but a random person coming into your home, stabbing you 43 times, like it's always usually somebody that you know. And 43 times sounds crazy. That sounds like someone that you know that had a vendetta against you, or I don't know, but Has it happened before with strangers? Of course. People are violent. We know that. You never know somebody. But 43 times is very excessive for someone that you don't know. He allegedly stole her purse and her husband's laptop. And then he also stole a jacket to hide the blood on his shirt. And I guess when he went home, his girlfriend was like, it's hot outside. Why you got that jacket on? And she later saw the laptop in the car, and William sold it allegedly a couple of days later. Now, the thing I think that kind of may have got Williams is that he actually had a criminal history, right? He had already been in jail, and he had a history of burglary, robbery, and theft, and assault convictions in other cases. So that just did not make this specific case look good for him. And a jury convicted him of first-degree murder for her death, which in Missouri could be punishable either by death or life in prison without parole. And I guess when he was in prison for another reason before he went to jail for this death, he allegedly told a cellmate that he did do it and kind of spelled out how he did it, allegedly. So this case was very complicated. It wasn't like one of those situations where it was kind of cut and dry. So unfortunately, he was executed. To the National Academy of Sciences, about 4% of people on death row are likely to be innocent. Since 1973, at least 200 people in the United States have been exonerated from death row after being wrongly convicted. So wrong convictions, we do know happen, and we do know that people are unfortunately executed who were innocent. The innocence database maintained by the death penalty inform centers lists 196 exonerations as of February 2nd, 2024. Some common reasons for wrongful convictions may include official misconduct, perjury or false information, false or misleading forensic evidence, which is what happened essentially in this case because they didn't have any forensic evidence, inadequate legal defense, and mistaken witness identification. So the inadequate legal defense is interesting too, because if you have a public defender in a case like this, it's usually curtains, because we all know that public defenders don't really have the time or the bandwidth, and sometimes not even the education to really dig into a case, especially like this. If he was linked up with the Innocence Project, it's likely that he probably did have better lawyers towards the end. But cases like this are just so heavy, and unfortunately they're just more common than we even know about. So God rest his soul, and God rest the soul of the woman who was murdered. On a lighter note, Beyoncé, and this transition feels very, very weird. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys after just talking about such heavy topics. My girl, the superstar Queen Beyoncé, did y'all know when I had my braids, someone told me that I looks like Beyoncé? Beyonce. And I really wore them braids down to the ground because, anyway, I digress. She did not receive a single nomination for the Country Music Association Awards, and she was also winless among 12 nominations at the People's Choice Country Awards. So we all, my bad y'all, the camera died, we're back. So yeah, Beyonce, so she didn't get any nominations for this country album. We know the country album was sensational, 10 out of 10, 25 out of 10. And you know, when I smell racism, I just have to call it out and be very blunt and be very honest about it. And that's what we're seeing here. We know that the country music industry is not very welcoming to Black people, people of color. We've talked about this so many times. We've seen it happen so many times. And essentially people are saying that some people are just hating and saying the album wasn't good. That's why she didn't receive nominations. We know that isn't true. We know that's all like a farce. Then Luke Bryan actually was talking about it. And he said the reason that she didn't receive a nomination because she didn't network enough. His whole thing was like, everybody, this is what he said. This is a quote. Everybody loved that Beyonce made a country album. I'm going to stop you right there. No, everyone did not love it, Mr. Luke Bryan. And I don't even know why you would say that. Because if you pay attention, and I know that you know that a lot of the people in country and people that love country music are racist. And when Beyonce actually went to the Country Music Awards and performed with the Chicks, formerly known as, I think, the Dixie Chicks, she was treated poorly. And that's when she did Daddy's Lessons from Lemonade. And they treated her so bad. And the people went on the internet and were calling her the N-word. So for you to say, oh, everyone loves that she made a country album, you're a liar. And you know that's not true. And that's weird. I don't even know why you would say that. You said it on purpose because you know, like I know, like we all know that they were being very racist to her. So let's just stop the stuff, Mr. Luke Bryan. I do like your music and everything, but let's not get too carried away. And then he continues to say, but things get a little tricky if you're gonna make country albums, come into our world and be a little country with us. First of all, Beyonce is from Texas. She's the epitome of country. She was made fun of her entire career for being too country, and now you're saying she's not country enough. And to say that, oh, she didn't get an award, she didn't deserve an award because she didn't want to come and play with you guys is crazy. And I think that it's just another thing that people do. It's patronizing, number one. And it's interesting too. I feel like they do that in corporate America too. It's like, oh, if you want to get that raise, you gotta, network, you gotta, play ball with the boys and all that other stuff. But the thing about that is that doesn't work for Black people. And it sounds like Mr. Luke Bryan, and I've heard other people make this argument too, y'all expect Beyonce to kiss y'all ass because she's Beyonce and because y'all feel the type of way. Y'all feel like, oh, who is this girl? Who is this Black woman coming into our world when we actually have a big hand in country music, but we're always being pushed out of it and pushed away because it has been claimed by the rednecks, the whites. They claim that as their genre of music and they don't want anyone else in it. And that's what we're clearly seeing here. And they're essentially saying, we want you to jump through hoops. And it's not about jumping through hoops. It's about listening to the music. Her music was amazing and she deserves to be there like anybody else. And then when she did come to y'all little funky awards, y'all treated her really, really bad. So what do you want her to do? Do you want her to pack up all her trauma and put on her big girl pants to come so y'all can abuse her again like y'all did a few years ago? Absolutely not. She doesn't have to do that. So it's unfortunate that she isn't being recognized for her talent, and we know that she's immensely talented and is that girl. And for him even to insinuate, it's like, oh, come down to our level, make us feel comfortable, entertain us, Beyonce, make us feel comfortable, make us some moonshine, come and play ball with us, Beyonce. No, why should she have to do all that when the music speaks for itself? And I've seen other people argue that too, but that does not work for Black people. It doesn't matter how much you kiss, schmooze. If they don't want you in their club, you're not going to be in their club. And that's just that on that. And clearly they don't want her in her club. And it's unfortunate. And I hope she just rests easy knowing that she doesn't need to, I hope that she does get album of the year, but for this album. But if she doesn't, I hope that she knows internally that doesn't take away from her. And I think this is a big lesson for all of us, that racism is that you're never too big up to not be impacted by racism, and it'll follow you all the days of your life, especially if you're a Black woman. So that's literally what we're seeing here. It's literally just racism. Call it what it is. It is what it is. And even her father called it out. One thing about Matthew Knowles, like he might not tell you a joke, but he's not going to tell you a lie. Listen, he said, he told TMZ on September 9th that the CMA snubbing his daughter record released March 29 speaks for itself. He added that there's white people in America that don't vote based on ability and achievements. It's still something, it's still sometimes a white and Black thing. And that's exactly what it is. There's no reason she didn't receive one award from this album, from this group of people. It's just insane, and it's just so blatant and so loud about how they just don't want to accept us. I remember when Lil Nas X went through the same thing when he dropped his song, and then I love that Miley Cyrus's dad hopped on the remix to show like, no, this is very much a country song. Like, I don't know why y'all tripping. Even Money Long, do y'all know Money Long? She actually talked about how, she sang that song, Nobody Knows Me Like You Do. Y'all know Money Long. And she was saying the same thing. She's written country music, and she had to go out there in Nashville and play the game. And it's funny during the interview because she actually was on the Breakfast Club and she was saying that Beyonce doesn't have to play the game because she's Beyonce. And literally the opposite point is being proved, that they're punishing her because she didn't play the game. So I guess essentially she does have to play the game. She doesn't. But do y'all know what I'm saying? Money Long is like, oh, she's Beyonce, she doesn't have to play. Clearly they want her to still play even though she's Beyonce. But Money Long was saying that she would like record with them, or she was going to write with them. I guess at some writer's studio in Nashville. And she brought like I think a bottle of Jack Daniels or like some brown liquor, and was like, I didn't want to be the only brown thing in your house. As a little joke. Like, to like kind of break the ice, because it's very obvious that they don't mess with black people all like that. Like, it's just very obvious and apparent. So she's spoken about it. T-Pain has spoken about it. You know, T-Pain, let me buy you a drink. I guess he's written a lot of country records. And I guess if you would look on like his discography or look on like the writers, the notes, the credits, you'll see his name in certain things, but he's saying they don't mess with him either. So they've been notoriously exclusive. They don't mess with us, and that's just what it is. And that's just what we're seeing with Beyonce, and it's unfortunate and it's sad, but Beyonce is still the queen. And I think that's why so many people rally behind her as well, because we see how bad and how poorly she's treated, and we see how the haters really just like attack her. So I think it makes her fans love her even more. But her music is undeniable. Her talent is undeniable. Like, that album is so beautiful. It touched my soul. Like, every time I listen to Cowboy Carter, I just get so emotional. Hands to Heaven is my song. Like, Renaissance, I listen to it weekly. It's like, and I love about Beyonce too is that if you really listen to that first album, her first album with Destiny's Child, and then just hear the growth, and it's so beautiful to hear her music, because you can hear how the world has changed through her music. You can hear how music has changed. Her first couple of albums were hardcore R&B albums, and then you can just see how she's transformed and evolved as an artist. She's done opera. She's done every genre. She's done rock. She's done pop. She's done R&B. She even, like, rappers credit her as like being a good rapper, because she was one of the first people to like start like singing really fast. Boy, I know you want me, you can see it in your eyes. What you keep on forgetting what you say is on my mind. Like, she's just so innovative, and the fact that people really try to bring her down is like insane. I feel like if Trump made a country album, y'all would give Trump a Grammy. Y'all would give Trump a Grammy, the Country Music Awards. Y'all would give Trump an award for a little country album, and he ain't never sang a hymn high on a track. So it's literally because she's a woman, because she's a black woman, she's being punished, and she's just too good, and they can't handle it, and they hate it, and they're mad, including Luke Bryan. And I'm really sad about that, because I do like country music. Before Beyonce even was doing country, she's done it on other albums before, but before she did this country album, I was a fan of country, and I still do like it. I feel like it's relaxing. It's always a cute little story about a truck or a dog or a family, or it's just very like turn your brain off music. But I did have a playlist one time, and I was listening, and I was just letting it go, and they started talking about being redneck, child, and I had to turn it off. I'm like, well, there's my time, because I'm not gonna listen to y'all. You know, the song was like, yeah, because I'm a redneck, trigger. I had to turn it off. But I do like country. And Beyonce, girl, you too good for the genre. You're too good for country music, B. You're too good for country music, and they know it. They know you're too good for them. And they're going to always try to bring you down. I love you, Beyonce. I just want y'all. Can we talk? Can we really talk? Can we have an intimate conversation? I want to have a real conversation with the ladies, like a real one, a real conversation with y'all. You're not going to like it, but I just want to say it. I just want to say it out loud, you know? You're not going to like this, but I just want to address it. Stop giving these men babies. Stop giving these men babies that are using your womb to create a broken family. Stop having babies and giving your womb to men who don't care about you. Stop doing that with men who don't care enough about you to provide for you and take care of you, and who only want you to produce and be a vehicle so they can have a child. Stop doing that. I'm mentioning this because of the whole DDG and Haley Bailey situation. Now, I think Haley really wanted a baby, so I'm not really speaking about her in this situation, but especially for women who can't afford children, and you just keep having multiple children. Like, I know some women who every time they get a new boyfriend, they got to give them a baby. You don't, and you should stop, especially if you're on government assistance and you can't afford that baby. Stop doing that, because a baby will never keep a man. In fact, statistics show, I just wrote a story about this. It's going to come out really soon, that if you're a pregnant woman, you're 35% more likely to be murdered than a woman who is not pregnant. Literally being pregnant by a man, especially a man who doesn't want you to have his kid, It literally makes you more vulnerable to being hurt. It literally makes you more vulnerable to danger. These are statistics that you can Google. I behoove you to go Google them. Never listen to me. Google everything I say and pretend like everything I'm saying is a lie. Go and Google it and do your research. It is actually more dangerous for you. Again, I'm not talking about Holly. Her story was like the kickoff to this conversation, but stop doing that. Stop doing that. Giving these men that don't deserve your body, your emotional support, and they don't deserve these babies, stop giving it to them, because only person that suffers at the end is you and the baby, because we know most of the time the mom is the one that takes care of the baby. Oh, my light went out. I'll charge that later. But yeah, so stop doing that. I just wanted to have that little corner, that little moment with you guys. The whole DGG thing is weird. He put out a statement about him and Halle breaking up. First of all, we don't need a statement from y'all, because from you, especially Mr. DGG, because y'all weren't married. So as far as I'm concerned, if there's no marriage, if there's no ring, it doesn't really matter. Unless it's Beyonce and Jay-Z. Now, Oprah and Stedman, they can give us a statement. They never would, because they're like, you know, classy. But they've been together forever. They can give us a statement. You can give us a statement even though they aren't married. But these little fly-by-night relationships and y'all aren't married and things like that, we don't need statements from y'all about how this living in sin situationship ended. It's just unnecessary. DDG has never been a good look for Holly. He always was hating on her. He even said in interviews, he said it in an interview that he was like, he didn't say he was jealous of her, I'm paraphrasing, but how she makes him feel insecure. And a man that, and I guess he's popular on the YouTube or something, I don't know, or he's popular, I don't know, I guess he's a rapper. I don't really know what he does, but we all know what she does. She's the first Black Little Mermaid. She's an icon. She'll always be an icon. She's going to go down in history, and we're probably not going to know who he is in 5 years, and he literally just lives and breathes off of her coattails. We know that, but a man like that is, I don't believe, you know, I've never seen it, but we never see it really end well, where you're more successful than the man. They can't handle it. A lot of men can't handle it. Can some men handle it? Of course. Like, I think of Serena Williams and her man. Now, he's very rich. He's very powerful. He has a lot of money. But Serena Williams is Serena Williams. You know what I mean? I think he is like a big deal, though. He owns like something crazy. Like, not Google, but like something like Google. Like, he's a big deal. But walking in the street, you wouldn't know him, but walking in the street, everyone knows who Serena is. You know what I mean? And from their conversations, it looks like their relationship is solid. He really appreciates her, even though she is immensely successful. But for most of the time, most men, especially insecure men, they can't handle a woman being more successful. So he just went out of his way to embarrass her. I knew he wasn't the one when he said that he thought that slavery ended with Martin Luther King. And when he said that racism ended with Martin Luther King. And you're from Atlanta, like really to say something like that out loud is disgusting. So yeah, ladies, if you want to have a baby for yourself that you can take care of, okay. If you need government support, okay. We all need a little bit of help sometime. I'm not shaming nobody, but if you go into a situation thinking, oh, the government gonna take care of me, and I got this man, and no. No, girl, the man needs to take care of you and the baby, because I never had no baby, but I hear it's hard, right? And I hear after you have the baby, it's really, really hard. So if he's not supporting you, babe, just let it go. If he doesn't want to marry you, it's given he doesn't want to support you. It's given he wants to use you to have his children, because if he doesn't want to marry you or hold you down and take care of you, then what are y'all really doing? It's giving like a waste of time. I never trust men that are quick to make a woman a baby mama and not a wife. I'm always giving them, I don't really know, side eye. The Real Housewives of Potomac came out and premiered, and I did a whole little review on it on TikTok. But the season kicked off very strong. Everyone's talking about Karen and her DUI, and it's hard for Karen because this is her second one. It's her second one. It's not even her first one, child. So yeah, they looking at her like, girl, what's going on? Because you're the grand dame. How you get on these DUIs? But they really held her feet to the fire. They really challenged her about this, and she was like, you know what, child? I'm going through a lot with Ray. And she said he's not very emotionally supportive. He's not giving her the emotional support that she wants, that she needs, that she desires, that she's still healing from her parents passing away. She never really healed from that. So I guess all of those emotional crises led her to drink and drive. Who am I to judge? You know, I've never drank and drove before, but you know, we all have our issues. I'm just grateful that she is okay and she didn't hurt anybody else. But she is going to court, and she is going to see her day in court. And at this, I don't know if it's been handled at this point, but by the time the show aired, by the time the show was shot, it hadn't been handled yet. So she might still be going through court. Mia, I think Mia is going to be the star of the show this season. We know that Candace is not on the show, and I'm so happy. Bad energy. I'm still mad at her for what she did with Monique. What was that, season 6? I'll never forgive Candace. And I just felt like Candace is the type of person to throw rocks and hide their hand, or wants to be vicious verbally, and then when someone comes back at her, like, she doesn't know how to handle it and she plays victim. I don't like that. Wendy, I feel like she's super pretentious. Her entire existence and her entire personality is about these degrees, and she has 4 degrees. I only have 2, child. I only have the master's degree. I guess she got the master's and the PhD and the BA, like, whatever. But I can say that making your entire personality based off of your degrees is exhausting, and trying to bring other people down because they don't have 4 degrees or 3 degrees or however many she has is exhausting. And she just was never my favorite. So I wish she would slither off the show, but she's still here. They brought back Jocelyn, Mia's friend, the one that she was allegedly like hooking up with, her and G. I don't know, but she's back on there being messy, talking about Karen called her tipsy. And Karen, God bless you. That was savage, y'all. And I guess Karen called her tipsy, allegedly, or whatever. And, Karen not supposed to be drinking because she's on a medication, because she hurt her ribs and she hurt her ankle after the DUI. But, yeah, Jacqueline said she called her tipsy, child. And the girls at the table were like, and then Mia, poor Mia, they dragging Mia, talking about, Mia, you're not being a good mom. Because if y'all remember last season, Mia and G essentially broke up because they found out that G had bipolar disorder, and that was really impacting his relationship with Mia, and he was being really like mean to her. So yeah, they broke up. So, and then she got with Ink, who is a radio personality from Charlotte, but that she had been dating. But G is the one that was talking about I don't know if our son is ours because you were linking up with Ink allegedly all them years ago. And Mia was like, okay, but I had an IUI. So clearly we know that the baby is yours. Like, we know where the sperm came from. Like, let's stop playing. But G is the one that put that out there. So it was really mean when Giselle and Karen tried to jump on Mia and say like, oh, like, you're not, because they said that she didn't protect her kids and all this because she essentially, because she brought them up in the show. But that wasn't really fair because it wasn't Mia that brought that up. It was really G. So they should really direct that energy towards G. But they put it all on Mia, like, oh, you don't protect your kids, blah, blah, blah. And Mia, like, my kids are doing great. They're doing great in school. They're in sports, blah, blah, blah. And it really upset her. And then she went in the bathroom crying. And that's how the episode ended. There's 2 new people on the show. I really like the one girl. She reminds me of Katie from season 1 and 2. What's her name? I forgot, but y'all see her on there. Very beautiful girl. She used to work for QVC. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Let's Talk About Life with the Girl Keidra. These are my notes of the week. I love you guys so much. AKA your favorite journalist, signing out till next week. Mwah. I love you guys. Bye.